What happens when you use no swords, no bows, no magic, just this? A tool designed for breaking walls, but I'm giving it a new purpose. To defeat every single boss in the game. 9 hammers stand between me and the end, and this is number 1. With the first hammer forged, the real work could begin, but the desert had other plans. I came face to face with not one vulture,
guys?
but a swarm of them, and it didn't take long to see the first death screen.
This was a bad idea.
So, a change of plans was in order. I ventured underground where the hammer felt more at home. I managed to find a few chests with some useful starting gear, and crucially, enough ore to craft my second hammer, the tin hammer. It was still a clumsy weapon, but any upgrade was welcome.
What the hell, man?
Eventually though, my exploration led me to the jungle. And here, I found my first essential accessory, the feral claws, an item that increases melee swing speed. This would be a game changer later on. But the jungle is a dangerous place, and I quickly found myself trapped between a skeleton and a man-eater. The slow swing of my hammer just wasn't enough to save me, so I started digging straight down, beginning the long process of creating a elevator. Along the way, I found more life crystals, and enough gold ore for the next tier of hammer. After collecting a bit more gear and an unfortunate accident involving a pool of lava, it was time.
Oh no.
I summoned my first boss, the Eye of Cthulhu. And immediately, I ran into a problem that would define the entire challenge. With a hammer, you have to be close to do damage, but against a fast flying boss, getting close is the hardest part. With not much of the night left, the Eye of Cthulhu had been defeated. My next target was in the Crimson. I smashed 2 Crimson Hearts, but before facing the Brain of Cthulhu, I knew I needed better gear. I found enough life crystals to reach maximum HP, and crafted a full set of gold armor for extra defense. Then, I broke the final heart. The knockback from my new gold hammer was surprisingly effective against the creepers that swarmed me. This was important because they dropped the very tissue samples I need for the next hammer. Soon, all the creepers were gone, and the brain entered its second phase. A few well-timed swings, and it was down. The loot allowed me to craft the flesh grinder, a huge upgrade in damage. Unfortunately,
Of course it would be weak. Of course it would.
I defeated the Eye of Cthulhu one more time to gather more Crimtane ore for the full armor set, hoping it would be enough for the dangers of the underworld. After descending into hell, I quickly found a hell forge. I drank an obsidian skin potion and got to work mining as much hellstone as I could. With that, and some obsidian, I crafted the full molten gear set, but more importantly, I forged the molten ham axe. This was the last hammer I could get before hard mode, and it was my best hope against the next set of bosses. I went to the dungeon and began building an arena for Skeletron, but the sky had other ideas. A slime rain began, and soon King Slime himself appeared. Normally, he's not that much of a threat, but in a challenge where you have to stay right next to the boss, his constant bouncing and teleporting made him surprisingly dangerous. It would have been embarrassing to die here, but thankfully he went down. With the night falling, I summoned Skeletron. Now, I haven't played on classic mode in a long time, but I don't remember his spinning head attack being quite so slow. I broke both of his hands and then focused on his skull, and he was defeated. With Skeletron gone, the dungeon was open. It held 2 things I needed, but my first trip inside was short-lived as I got stuck in a bad spot and I was quickly overwhelmed.
I hate this so much.
While I was back at my base buying potions, a goblin army approached. This was actually a good thing, as defeating them would be the only way to find the goblin tinkerer. With the army defeated, I took a detour to the underground ice biome, hoping to find a pair of Hermes boots, which, thankfully I did.
Let's go.
After what felt like an eternity of searching, I finally found the Tinkerer tied up in a cave.
Oh, there he is. Something was broken there, bro. It's never taken that long for him to spawn in for me.
However, his services are expensive, so I started work on the gold farm that I seem to build in every playthrough. Full credit for this design goes to Waffle Time on YouTube. After about 2 hours, the farm was complete. I also found the Aether biome where I shimmered a spare life crystal into the vital crystal for better health regeneration. And then I set up a pylon for easy travel. Then it was back to the dungeon.
Yes, straight off the bat. Both the things I needed straight away. Thank God.
I looted some shadow chests and reforged most of my gear for higher defense. I bought potions and then threw a voodoo doll into the lava, summoning the wall of flesh. My molten hamax melted through the hungry, which allowed me to focus all my strength on the wall itself. Lots of swinging later, the wall of flesh was defeated. And some of you may have realised that this meant my next hammer was guaranteed, the Pwn hammer. He also drops a class emblem, and of course it didn't give me melee. Not exactly useful, thankfully I could shimmer it until it became the warrior emblem that I needed. I went to the Crimson and broke some altars, blessing my world with palladium, mithril and titanium. After mining my way through the new ores, I had enough titanium, but I prefer the adamantite set for the melee run, so I shimmered the bars over and crafted the full armor. I went back down to use my gold farm, but annoyingly, my small patch of jungle used to boost spawn rates had been infected by the Crimson. I bought some purification powder to fix it, and then I went AFK for a while, collecting not just gold, but also a lot of souls of night, until the Crimson Mimic spawned and killed me. But the farm had provided what I needed. I was able to craft the power glove and the star veil, two essential melee accessories, and with the souls of night, I crafted the keys of night. I was hoping for the flesh knuckles, surely it wouldn't take that long for me to get. I finally had them. Combining them with my other accessory, I could now craft the Berserker Glove, an incredible item that increases weapon size and provides an extra 8 defense. I then made some demon wings and reforged all of my accessories to be either warding or menacing, and I was ready for the mechanical bosses. First on the list was a destroyer. I summoned it, but I was too high up in the air. I had to get its attention and bring the fight down to the ground. Thanks to my tanky melee setup, I could easily stand my ground and deal a lot of damage. After it was defeated, I summoned and killed it 2 more times. This then gave me enough hallowed bars to make a full set of hallowed armor. I also swapped my boots for another glove accessory to increase my melee speed even more. The steampunker NPC moved in, which meant I could now make asphalt. I spent a long time building a massive runway across the sky. This would definitely be crucial later. My next goal required a specific NPC, the Truffle, who only lives in an artificial glowing mushroom biome. He sells an exclusive hammer that I needed. Once the Truffle arrived, I bought the Hamush from him. It was much better than the Pwn hammer, due to it summoning glowing mushrooms on impact for extra damage. I slept to make it nighttime, and then I summoned the twins. As always, I focused on Spasmatism first. After taking some hits, he transformed into a second, more aggressive phase. With Spasmatism down, I had to deal with Retinator, and this is where that range problem returned. It was difficult to deal damage to him because he prefers to stay far away. This would become a recurring issue with the hard mode bosses, but eventually the twins were defeated. Only Skeletron Prime was left. I summoned him while my potion buffs were still active. I took out his saw, his vice, and his cannon, then moved in close to finish him off. Soon he too had been defeated. Using all the souls I had collected, I could now craft a Drax. I went into the underground jungle and mined all the chlorophyte ore I could find. After smelting the bars, I had enough to make the chlorophyte warhammer. This was the last craftable hammer I could make, and you'll see why that's important later. I used the life fruit at the Aether to get the Aegis fruit for more defense, and after another mining trip, I made the full chlorophyte set. I also had some butterfly dust from earlier, so I crafted a new pair of wings. Now it was time to upgrade my accessories even more. I fought the wall of flesh again to craft the Avenger emblem, which I then combined with the power glove to make the mechanical glove. After some time in the underworld, I got a magma stone, which let me finally craft the fire gauntlet. This would hopefully be the last accessory I needed to make. But just as I was about to head into the jungle to find Plantera, a pirate invasion began. Eventually, the pirates were defeated, and I could finally get back on track. I found Plantera's bulb in the underground jungle. After setting up a small arena, I broke the bulb, and the fight began. Now, similar to the Wall of Flesh, Plantera has a very small chance to drop the final hammer of this challenge. And unfortunately, I didn't get it. I would have to return again later. But at this time, I'd already planned to fight Golem for his B2 armor set anyway. So I made my way through the jungle temple, and after setting up my buffs, I summoned him. Soon, both of his fists were down. I focused on his head and destroyed it, and then I finished off his body. With him defeated, I fought him again and again until I was on low HP and I had to teleport away. But my base wasn't safe either, as a solar eclipse was happening. I healed up with the nurse and then crafted the full B2 armor set. After some time, the eclipse ended. I've made some beetle wings and then returned to the jungle to fight Plantera again. However, this time I drank a luck potion, so surely it couldn't take that long to get. That was one of the most unlucky, boring grinds I've ever experienced. But finally, I had it. The axe. The 9th and final hammer. Hopefully it'd be enough for what was to come. I collected some shuffleworms from the mushroom biome and made my way to the ocean. My next target was Duke Fishron for his powerful wings. So I set up multiple small platforms and then summoned him. As some of you may remember, the last time I fought Duke Fishron, it was not fun, but on classic mode, I hoped I wouldn't die, at least not as much. However, the problem of getting close to the boss had returned, and for a boss like Duke Fishron, you really don't want to get near him. Then I messed up my movement, and he managed to get me.
Oh, for f***'s sake!
But I wasn't going to give up. I reforged all of my accessories to warding for the maximum defense, and I went back in. I managed to get him into his second phase, then his third, and finally, I took him out. But, of course, he didn't drop the wings, and I was annoyed.
Oh, he didn't drop it. I can't be asked to get those wings. I'm going to try it without them and see what happens.
So I did exactly what I said. The dungeon was nearby, I killed the cult members, and spawned the lunatic cultists. Unlike Duke Fishron, I was able to take him down pretty quickly. This left only the Celestial Pillars and then Moon Lord. I went to the Stardust Pillar and started slaying the enemies. With the first pillar down, I moved on to Nebula. With both the Nebula Pillar and the Solar Tower gone, all that was left is the Vortex, so I headed over to it at the Crimson. With the pillars down, impending doom was approaching. I quickly prepared myself for the final battle, and as soon as Moonlord spawned, I immediately came to the realization not having Duke Fishron wings was a terrible idea, but it was too late now. I was struggling a lot to find a solution. He was so fast I couldn't get close enough to his eyes. But eventually, I then found a method. I could use my asphalt runway to build immense speed and then use that momentum to propel myself upwards, just high enough to get a couple hits in. I'm not kidding when I say it took around 5 minutes just to get one of his eyes down, but at least it was down. I decided to focus on the other hand before going in for the head, to hopefully make things a little easier. I was also annoyingly getting knocked around a lot, so with fast thinking I quickly flew back to my base and grabbed the obsidian shield from my chest. With that I managed to get down his other hand, so my attention was back to his main eye in his head. Much more time was spent just waiting for it to open, but eventually it was done, opening his core. And here, at the worst possible time, the problem of not being able to reach the hitbox came back. So I just repeatedly flew straight up and then fell down, swinging my axe in desperate arc, hoping to land some hits. And then, after all that, Moonlord was defeated.
Oh my god. That is the longest fight I've ever had in Terraria, bro. That took so long.
So there you go, I managed to beat Terraria using only hammers. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all later.